Welcome to Impactful Advice, a podcast from Bergid, a research and strategy consulting firm. Each episode will delve into research methodologies and insights that inform how to develop and implement strategies. Subscribe to Impactful Advice on your preferred podcast platform for impactful insights and advice. In our very first episode today, we're talking to James Maposa, the managing director of Bergid. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, he is passionate about socioeconomic development, business growth, and continuity. Prior to founding Bergid and co-founding Valora, James worked for Interbrand, Ernst& Young, Ipsos, Frost and Sullivan, the Forestry Company of Zimbabwe, and the Industrial Engineering Group. Welcome, James.
Thank you, Patience, and thank you for the colorful introduction.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today and to discuss a very important topic, which is strategy. Strategy is a critical component of business growth. And without further ado, let's dive right in and explore what strategy is and why it's so important.
So, I like to explain things simply. Strategy is a plan of action. So, but I guess what strategy is important for is defining your difference and coming up with building blocks which will help you to live out the difference or the vision of your organization. So, what you'll find is that a lot of us are, well, a lot of the small businesses when they're set up, they are entrepreneurs. I'd like to call it survival entrepreneurship, where, for instance, you lose a job and then you find an opportunity and then you jump on it as the opportunity that you're going to be working on. The other thing that you could also do is probably you say, I no longer want to work formally, but I want to start my own business. So there's a lot of bricolage when it comes to setting up or running with a business where you just put building blocks together and say the basics. As long as I'm earning, I'm going to be okay or be successful, well, mildly successful. But what strategy helps you to do is to be more focused, to add to your accountability, to make you more responsible, and also to use your resources wisely whenever you are thinking about growing and progressing your business.
Excellent. I love that you mentioned entrepreneurial pursuits and small businesses, which are sort of the MO in Africa. What would you say are the essential components of a business strategy for a small business, and how can that small business prioritize these components?
So what you find is with a lot of the small businesses, they bootstrap or use limited personal resources to set up a business, right? So from a strategic perspective, it's about finding out or defining how you can get the most. I would say a minimum of 2x for the investment that you're pouring in. And how you do that is to try and build a business and progress it using as few resources as you possibly can, but maximize your profits. And one of the things that you need to do as a business when you're a small business from a strategic perspective is how you're going to sell, whom you're going to sell to, how often you're going to sell to them, and the relationship that you need to build with that particular client base to ensure that you are successful. But it all comes back to not pursuing an opportunity for to make money, even though money is important, because when you are in business you need to be making money. But then I think the more important thing that you do is to make a difference and make an impact. When you're making a difference and an impact, what you find is the money will follow. So it's coming back to it is to say, how do I get 2x plus returns using very limited resources by understanding my customers needs and wants in a way that endears me to the customer so much that they'll come back for more. But and the value equation is such that what they pay for, they get a better return from a value add viewpoint.
All right. So you speak about value addition for the customers. How else can small businesses, create value for other stakeholders that they interact with? So your employees and your shareholders. And if you have any examples, please, shed some light on businesses that have been able to achieve this successfully.
So there are many success stories that I could refer to, but fundamentally, what I would look at is to say, if we're taking a look at the different stakeholders for a business, first and foremost, it's the customers. How do we serve our customers in the best way possible? And I think for any startup business, your cost to serve is high because your brand is not known, your business is not known, and you have a very few people who are supporting your business and wanting you to be successful, right? So now, what you need to do is to say within a given period of time, if you're targeting the customer, how do I reduce the cost to serve by offering a service that is unparalleled, by offering a product that is also unparalleled, or a promise to say that the product will improve based on the feedback that is shared from your customer. So I would say what's important is to be very responsive to your customers' needs. First of all, is to understand their needs and wants, and then put a product or a service together that fully addresses that need or want. And then also be proactive in your responsiveness to say if there are things that need to change in terms of our alpha or beta product, we could do that quickly. So, and our client or our clients or customers love us for the fact that we hear what they're saying and we put a product together and evolve it based on what their needs and wants are. So when it comes to, I think in terms of hierarchy of stakeholders, it depends on the ethos of the organization, but I would say the customer would come first, and the close second would be the employees. So with the employees, I think strategy is focused around getting belief, because a founder is a visionary of the organization, but he should be able to articulate his vision to the rest of the troops in such a way that they want to play an active role in implementing the strategy, making a difference, and also be rewarded. Because what you find is that with a lot of people who leave, who work for a small business, they probably had a corporate job which was paying them well, which was more secure, and then you start working for a startup. And when you're working for a startup, there's a lot of risk that's associated with it. So with it should come rewards, whether it's you getting equity or it's you getting rewarded at the end of the year once you've performed well, and also it's getting more opportunity or opportunities that you otherwise would not have gotten in a global enterprise or a global company. So I think that's what's important from a strategic perspective to say, how do we uplift and empower employees to ensure that they live out the vision and are also rewarded and get a rewarding experience. And to the shareholder, like I said, it's important to say, let me use as little resources as I possibly can to get as much return. That way, the business becomes attractive to other shareholders over and above the owner or the founder of the business. Yeah, and the last thing that you need to consider from a strategic perspective is other stakeholders pay your taxes, be compliant from a regulatory standpoint, and also incorporate those costs and don't take shortcuts, because you could be lying to yourself that you're a profitable business, but as you go down the line, you'll find that once compliance costs start to kick in, you're not as profitable as you should be. So you should always have a plan for things like that. Compliance costs a lot of money. So, for as an example, if you're in the food chemicals business, you need to make sure that the hygiene standards are up to code. And if they're not up to code, and you're making a lot of money, that could strongly or aggressively eat into your profits. So it's about understanding how to account in costs for each of the stakeholders, incorporating it into your cost model, and ensuring that you're profitable based on all of those things.
Thanks, James. So, from what it sounds like, is that a lot of planning goes into running a small business. And with planning, you set out your objectives and your goals. What are the different goals that small businesses can achieve through strategy? And are there any trade offs between the different goals?
That's a good question. So what you find is that with a lot of the businesses, particularly in South Africa, we tend to be oligopolistic in nature. So, as a small business across the different industry, there's a lot of oligopoly. So, what we would want is a situation whereby when you're building a business, understand what the strategic intent is. Is it for you to stay in the business for as long as you possibly can, or are you building that business to sell it? Right? And And for you to sell the business, you must make sure that you're building something of value, even if you are too. But I guess what you'll find is that if you want to build a business that you're going to scale to be as big as it possibly can, you no longer operate on a 5 or 7 year horizon. Although it would be prudent for you to operate from a strategic perspective over a 5 year cycle, which is updated annually, because the world is now so very dynamic that things keep on changing at the speed of light. I would have said the speed of life, but it's more the speed of light. So because of that, what you need to do is find a way to ensure that your strategy is viable and relevant on a daily basis, updating it as regularly as you possibly can, taking a look at both external and internal factors that impact your business, and coming up with a solve or solution for them if you're going to withstand the test of time. If you're building your business for a 5, 7 year period and then you want to sell the business, you're trying to maximize as much value as you possibly can to make that asset attractive so that if someone comes and knocks on your door, all of your ducks are in a row. Like I said, you're treating your employees well, your customers have long term relationships with you, your taxes and your compliance issues are in order. And in addition to that, you also have a plan which is centered around innovating your business and growing and expanding maybe to different territories, to diversifying your offering and serving your customers best as you possibly can. That results in you getting maximum value when you sell your business, and even you're still excited about the business during your earnout period because you've set a plan in place which keeps the business viable and it has a sustainability component to it and is attractive to potential investors.
Okay, just to bring you back to this issue of strategic intent, you mentioned that some businesses build to sell. Do you find that this is the case in Africa or with African small businesses?
Yeah, so a lot of the small businesses are family owned, and Africa is now considered the next frontier for economic growth and expansion, right? So when these businesses are set up, they are set up as a means to earn an income for a family, right? And then they grow and then they grow beyond the family unit. And there's more people that join the organization. And then when international investors or international organizations are looking to grow in Africa, one of the things that they do is they target these family owned businesses. It's happening a lot in East Africa. It's also happening a lot in Southern Africa. I'm not sure about West Africa, but I think the same will also be happening. Yes, I mean, if you take a look at the likes of Dangote, it started off as a family business, grew to become one of these large corporates, and then Tiger Brands acquired or bought a stake into the business. So a lot of the businesses are usually family owned, and then they scale up, and maybe through them scaling they onboard new investors, and usually it's local investment, and then after the local investment there's international investment, and it's used as a gateway to enter into the African market. So it's always important to make sure that your business is as viable as possible as a family-owned business, as a business that attracts investment from local investors, and then eventually or optimally it attracts investment from international investors, because there's not a Africa has become more attractive because it is offering a better return on investment on the business, particularly if you run the business well and you're making sure that your costs are low and your margins are high and you're growing your customer base on an ongoing or continuous basis. Yeah.
Okay. So crafting a business strategy is just the first step in the process. Implementation is what takes the strategy from formulation to execution. What are some of the key steps involved in implementing a business strategy, and what would you say are the common challenges that small businesses are facing when implementing these strategies?
I would say one of so the steps to strategy is first sitting down and talking about the due diligence that has been made by the owner of the business or the founder of the organization. He has found an opportunity or a gap in the market, and he wants to build a business. And you need to conduct or do a lot of research to say is my idea, is it worth any salt? And it's about stress checking to say, I have this idea. Is anybody else implementing or rolling out this idea? What difference do I offer to the market that will make my business more viable than what is currently in the market? Then, in addition to that, what partnerships should I pursue or explore to ensure that I'm successful within the market? And then after, putting a map together to say, this is my idea, this is why I think it would work. These are the resources I need for me to be successful when rolling out this idea. And these are the partnerships that I need to leverage or tap into to ensure that I'm successful. Maybe then can you start allocating resources to implementing or rolling out your strategy? So conceptually, strategy is to say, if you do this, you will be successful. The biggest problem is when implementing a strategy, what you have set out to do sometimes is impacted by reality, right? So strategy is idealistic, but then when you're now implementing, you start encountering barriers and obstacles to you being successful. And one of the ways to be successful from an implementation perspective is to say, let's have as big of a risk register as we possibly can and have contingencies for those risks and contingencies for those risks. I think it's super important to understand that things keep on changing. And because things keep on changing, for you to be viable or successful, it's always asking questions to say, I'm going to roll it out this way. This is the risks that are associated with me rolling out my business or building it in this manner. And then these are the contingencies for those risks. And then you also have counter contingencies for other risks that may arise. And also, I guess it's also allocating resources to the what ifs. Because usually when a business is set up, almost all the resources are channeled towards business as usual. But it's always important for you to invest in business unusual. Because if you invest in business unusual, that could be maybe an opportunity. Maybe it could be a gap that creates more opportunity for you, or it could be a solution that unlocks more value for you as a business. So, for instance, if you take a look at Nokia, which was a pulp and paper business, and them investing slightly in technology, and at one time becoming one of the biggest mobile companies in the world. So things like that need to be considered whenever you're putting a strategy together. It's business as usual and business unusual. Let's figure out a way to say how do we allocate and always continue to evolve. Yeah.
Awesome. Lots to unpack there, James. I think we're going to need another episode to further unpack the different strategies that can be employed. As a parting shot, what is something that you would say to a small business owner in Africa who has no idea on where to look for strategies? What advice or impactful advice would you give them?
So I think that the most important thing when you are starting a business, when you have limited resources, innovate as much as you possibly can based on the idea that you're looking to build out, the resources that you have available, and also the risk of being outcompeted by your competitors. So those are the things that you need to consider. And then it's also important to say, if I am to set up this business and I'm going to roll out at, let's say, pilot or a larger scale, what partnerships should I tap into to ensure that I'm successful? Because for a business to be successful, it's very important to have these strategic partnerships that contribute to your success. Going it alone is I think in this era, even in the past, it's not as easy as it is positioned to be. Everyone who is successful, or a lot of the businesses that are successful, have partnered. So partnerships are very crucial for any small business that's looking to grow and progress, whether it be funding or financing, whether it be channels to market, whether it be research and development, and like an innovation partner. Always important to first do as much research as you possibly can, understand what your unique selling points are when compared to the competition, and then identify partnerships that you can leverage where they will sell your story and also contribute to your success. I think these are the important things from a strategic perspective. Yeah.
So much sage advice. Thank you so much for coming through, James. We hope to host you soon.
Thank you so much, Patience. And yeah, small businesses, we love you and we hope that you are able to continue to grow and progress and contribute actively to economic expansion within Africa.
Thank you for listening to the Impactful Advice podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode about the importance of business strategy for small businesses. If you found this episode helpful, please share it with your colleagues and subscribe to the podcast to get notified of new episodes. To learn more about Burgit and the work that we do, visit our website at www.burgit.co.za. Thank you again for listening.